The information shared on Light Body Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Lara May, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to Light Body Radio.
Welcome to Light Body Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Lara May, and today we have with us Abby Beale. She is a homeopathy specialist.
I'll clarify when I get going. Go ahead.
Okay. She believes homeopathy is the coolest medicine on the planet. She became interested in homeopathy over 25 years ago when her 9-month-old son had repeated ear infections with no relief after many antibiotics. That sounds a lot like my childhood too. One trip to a homeopath and the infections were resolved. This amazingly curious event got Abby interested in learning more and studied to become a nationally certified classical homeopath. That was the word I was looking for earlier, homeopath.
Yeah.
Because of her love for homeopathy, Abby became the lead author of a wonderful book called Homeopath Primer, Getting Started with Homeopathy, that helps people learn how to use homeopathy at home for acute ailments. And we'll talk about that website at the end, but it's homeopathyprimer.com. So welcome so much, Abby.
Such a pleasure to be here, Dr. Lara. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. So your bio talks a little bit about your story and how you got started, but tell us more. I'm really curious. I think so many people, I grew up in the southeastern part of the country in East Tennessee, but there's lots of places in our country where it's beautiful, things bloom a lot, but with that comes allergies. And or it's humid all the time, and so you might have mold issues. And I think this drives a lot of inflammation and chronic sinus infections and those types of things that Western medicine just isn't good at addressing. And the solution from them are those chronic antibiotics. So let's talk about that piece of your story first, I think.
So I think with my son, in hindsight, and I'm not sure where you believe on this, but I think it has more to do with vaccinations. I've just seen this in my practice that kids that have been vaccinated tend to have more ear infections and more upper respiratory infections than those that haven't. I didn't know it back then, though. I had no idea. So, I have a 9-month-old first-time mom. He got sick for the first time. I'm like, okay, why does he have an ear infection? I don't know, but we need to do something. And of course, we go to the doctor, we get the antibiotics, and my son took the antibiotics and it seemed to help. Antibiotics, as I've come to find out, are really kind of like glorified anti-inflammatories, which can be helpful, short run, but it can also be helpful long run. In my son's case, it was short run, that every time he took an antibiotic, which was around 6 or 7 times over 6 or 7 months, he would feel better for about a week, and then it would slide back, or they would say he got another infection. I don't think it was ever an infection that went away. I think it just kept getting suppressed and then came back, suppressed and then came back. And so they asked for him to do tubes, which is a very common procedure, to put, they call it grommets over in the UK, but here they call it tubes. And as a mom, it's like, I don't want my son to have surgery. Like, there's got to be something else, you know? So I started looking around and asked my mom, even, who got into natural health late in life. And I said, can you tell me, you know, what would you do if this was your kid? And she said, I would take him to a homeopath. And I said, a homo what? I had no idea. I'd never heard of a homeopath before. I didn't know what they did, didn't know what, you know, where they were, how to find one. And this was before the internet in the mid 90s. So I had to look in, you know, the yellow pages that we have, you know, remember those directories, right? And in my state, there were 3 homeopaths listed, and they were all about an hour away. And so I took him there. And it was about maybe a 90-minute interview with my, you know, 17-month-old son and me, because obviously the 17-month-old could not respond to, like, tell me where it hurts, son, you know, tell me where, you know. And so I would have to just report my observations about him and what, you know, where it seemed that it hurt and what made it better, what made it worse, and what were his habits, what was his behavior like, and, you know, 90 minutes. And when we were done, he gave me these little pellets, little sugar pellets. He said, just give this to your son to put in his mouth and let me know how he does. So I gave him these pellets. He took them easily compared to the antibiotic that he kept spitting out, these little sugar pellets, and his ear infections went away and never came back. And it was like one of those, like, huh, really? How could that be? These 2 little sugar pellets seem to work. And so that was just my first aha moment of interest. And then he got sick again a few months later, brought him back to the homeopath, gave him some other little pellets. He started to get better. And I'm like, okay, what is this stuff? Like, I feel like the world needs to know more about it. I need to know more about it. So I started slowly into that venture, and I finally went to school a little bit more in the year 2000. By 2003, I was enrolled in homeopathic school. I just, it was so curiosity making for me. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I have some superficial experience with it myself, but it's not like I have a deep understanding at all. So usually, like, when I feel like a cold or flu coming on, I go I go to like a Sprouts or Whole Foods or whatever, and in that section where you find the echinacea and the zinc and all that, and the elderberry, all those wonderful, you know, viral fighting herbs, they also have homeopathic little containers of the pellets like you're talking about. And yes, and they work. They're magical.
It's called oscillococcinum. No one can pronounce it but homeopaths, or we just call it oscillo. It is sold, thankfully, in most, you know, drugstores, supermarkets, you know, Sprouts, Whole Foods, whatever. And this is such a great remedy to take when you feel like you're starting to come down with a cold or a cough, or you're just not feeling well. And it's like, and I even take it prophylactically when I'm flying, when I'm around a lot of people, you know, a lot of people are, you know, they're sick, they're coughing, whatever. And so I'll take it before I go on a plane, sometimes just as a preventative kind of thing. And so it's a really great thing. So I love that you know this. This is a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Like, I just thought, I was like, one day I was like, well, I'll try it. It can't hurt. And sure enough, yeah.
And so now you'd think homeopathy is okay. It's okay. Some people are like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm afraid of it. It's scary. Like, what's going to happen? I'm like, nothing's going to happen if it's the wrong remedy. Basically, nothing happens. No one dies.
Yeah. So let's maybe go into that, like, maybe dispel a lot of the things that you come across as the practitioner. Because I guess it's never crossed my mind to be afraid of it. I am just not familiar with it that much. And so that the oscillo is one of those things that, like I said, I just happened to come across. I thought I'd try it. It worked great, but I also haven't branched out farther than that either.
So I can tell you there's a lot to branch out on for home treatment, to treat oneself, your family at home for acute situations. So acute means not adorable, but acute means like things that come on suddenly, like, you know, you get stung by a bee, or you fall down and you bruise your knee, or you had a car accident, or you have a stomach bug, or you have, I don't know, a shoulder that's really painful or something like that. So I'm going to show this to you. I don't know if people can see it, but this is a homeopathic kit. This
Okay.
is it's called Helios. It's a Helios 30C potency kit, and it has 36 different remedies in it.
Oh, wow.
Oscillo is not in here because Oscillo is a different kind of remedy, but
Okay.
nonetheless, all of these are used for all different kinds of things. And so when you travel, I'm going to tell you, this is like the coolest thing to have in your bag, because you never know what's going to happen, and typically things happen when you travel.
Sure.
You know, yeah.
So if we were to explain homeopathy to our listeners in a way to, at least let's just start with like differentiating it from Western medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there. So what, I
Sure.
mean, obviously like it is different, but what is homeopathy composed of that Western medicine doesn't have?
So it's more that they're just very different. So conventional medicine has they have chemicals in it. They have material substances. So even like, and these are actually good when you talk about those herbs like echinacea and garlic and vitamin C and all that. Those are naturopathic, which are great, but there is a physical substance in it that has to be digested into the stomach and into the liver. All of that goes into the digestion and into the body.
Okay.
Homeopathic remedies are made energetically, okay, from natural substances like plants and minerals and animals. For example, arnica, which is, I call it the gateway drug into homeopathy. Arnica, a lot of people have you ever done it? Have you ever?
Yes, I love done it. No, I love arnica, especially like for muscle soreness and for acute sprains and stuff like that. But anyway, keep going.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So arnica is made from a flower. It's a beautiful yellow flower, Arnica montana, and it's usually the company Boiron, Boiron, that is most well known for the Oscillo brand and also for Arnica montana. They have it in France, and what they do is they take it and they basically put it in a mortar and pestle, and they grind it down. They add a little bit of liquid to it to liquefy it, and then they serially dilute it and succuss it. So what that means is, so here we have a 30C kit that has a remedy in here called arnica. So let's pretend that in front of us we have 30 cups of water or 30 jars of water that are filled 99% full, mostly with water, maybe a little preservative, maybe like grain alcohol or something just as a preservative. So once you get that mixture of the arnica flower, then they put 1 drop of that mixture into the first jar or bottle that dilutes it, and then they succuss it, which means shake it hard. So they basically take it, the bottle, and pound it. They used to do it on a Bible a long time ago, but on the palm of your hand, and imagine how it activates the water of the substance. So that becomes a 1 centesimal when it's hit 10 times. Then you take 1 drop of that water. You don't go back to the original. You go 1 drop of that water into the next bottle. It's now more diluted. You succuss it again 10 more times. That's a 2C. 1 drop of that into the next bottle. That gets diluted, gets pounded 10 more times. That's a 3C. And go on down the line till you get to 30C. There's nothing left of the material substance, but it's the energy of the arnica flower that has been engaged each time that it has gone into each of those bottles. And so it's been 30 times. And then they take a dropper and they drop it onto these lovely little sugar pellets, which is the delivery method. Okay. So every remedy that I have in my office, I probably have thousands of remedies. They pretty much look alike. They may be smaller or a little bigger, and they all taste the same because it's so highly diluted. It's a substance that got put on it. And so all of these look the same, but they have different energy imprints. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And it's so fascinating too, like especially like from the background of, chemistry and biology in terms of thinking about concentration and especially, my pharmacist mind wants to go.
Yes, your pharmacist. That, like, I forgot.
Like we have a mantra in pharmacy is start low, go slow. And ideally, like the smallest dose will be the most effective. And so even though that is not practiced, I would say, honestly, very much in actual Western medicine. The concept is there and it is taught.
Yeah.
But I think it's so fascinating that homeopathy sort of takes this, and instead of like allopathic medicine, takes it up to how we study drugs in terms of figuring out the lethal dose, like the absolute max to, actually take someone out of existence, versus homeopathy is like dilute, and it is yet still so effective. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah, me too. Me
I love
too.
it. Cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I like the low and slow too, because there are other potencies that you can get at a local store, 6C, 12C, or 30C. So
Okay.
sometimes just having a 6C at home means it's only been diluted and succussed 6 times, in that process. It still doesn't have any material substance, but it has more than a 12 and more than a 30.
Gotcha.
And so you just
Okay.
have to give it more often. It's just a difference in dosing, but it's still very useful.
So fascinating.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine too that there are each of in the kit that you showed, are each one of those a singular, let's say, compound or item?
Yeah.
They're not combinations of different
No,
things.
these are not
Okay.
combinations at all. No, these are individual remedies, correct? Yeah, they each have a different name. They're from different things. I remember my kids when probably about 10 years ago when I was learning all this, they took one of these kits out and they said, "Here, Mom, I'm going to give you one of these. You tell me what it's for." And I looked at it. I said, "Yeah, this one's for the flu if you're feeling weak or tired or whatever." He said, "How'd you know that?" I said, "I'm studying it, dude. What do you expect?" So like every single thing I know what it is and I know what it's for. But the layperson who's just learning this, really, they need to really take time to digest it, to have experience with it, and just understand that it's like another language to a certain extent, but it is learnable for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Mm.
So then when you have like a client session and you're doing, that assessment or interview, how does that work? And in terms of determining the path moving forward with what you decide, which remedies to start them off, or and again, like, will there be just one, or is there going to be a combination?
So you're talking about chronic prescribing. So when someone comes to me, typically,
or even acute.
or even an acute. So let's say I have a client that's coming to me because they have a flu. Let's say that's happening these days, right?
Yes.
So they have a flu. I go through mentally, or the people who buy our book, the Homeopathy Primer book, it's called CLAMS. It's a process of going through these, is acronym. C is cause. What could have caused this flu? Is it overwork? Was it exposure? Getting chilled? Your daycare, your kid was in daycare, you got it from your kid, whatever. What was the cause of the illness? We want to know the location. That's L, the clams of clams. Where is it? Is it in your stomach? Are you having diarrhea? Do you have a headache? Do you have a sore throat? Like, we want to know all the places that you're feeling it exactly. Right side, left side, top, back. Does it extend to your ear? Like, we want to know every location. Then we want to know, what are your additional symptoms? That's your A in clams. So if, let's say, you have a headache, but at the same time you're also light sensitive, or you have a stomach ache and you also have diarrhea. So you want to have, what else is happening besides that thing that you have? What are the additional symptoms? And then the next two are, I think, the most important. M is modalities. What makes you feel better and what makes you feel worse? Like, you want warm drinks or cold drinks? You want to lay down? You want to sit up? You want a fresh air? You want a warm room? You want a blanket? You want to be uncovered? Like, so many different things, and everyone experiences their illnesses uniquely and individually. It's very different. So that's really helpful, modalities. And then S is sensations. What does it feel like? Is it achy? Is it constricting? Is it stabbing? Is it dizzying? Is it, what's the sensation of your pains? Burning, that's another one, burning. And so once you have all of that, then it builds a picture of remedies that can be then chosen based on all of those individualized things. Okay. So that's how I approach it. And this is how, so I run study groups, and I also have on our website, the Homeopathy Primer website, I've now incorporated people around the country that are interested in doing study groups with the book. So it's not just me doing them, other people are doing it, and they're teaching clams so that people can do it for themselves, for their families, for their pets. You can treat your pet who's having diarrhea or vomiting or whatever the same way that you can treat, a person. So,
okay.
Yeah, clams is the way to go.
All right. I love this. And so, well, and you mentioned before you explained that something about chronic illness or the approach to that. So how is that different? Because I feel like you were going to say something important there.
No, it's just a differentiation. So basically there's two ways that homeopathy can be used. One is acutely, which is you have a cold, a cough, a flu, a bee sting, whatever, that comes on suddenly. And then there's the chronic stuff. Like I've had migraines my whole life, or my periods have been really bad, or I have, irritable bowel syndrome symptoms, or any of those kind of long-term things. That's a different picture. And that's really where my skills come in as a homeopath, because people come and then I look at their whole timeline from the time they were in their mother's womb all the way up till now, what's been imprinted on their lives, what has caused them to feel this way, what medications are they on, all the stuff. And then I get to put all the pieces of their life's puzzle together to come up with a remedy or a set of remedies that are going to help with their healing process.
Beautiful.
So if I had 10 people in front of me or 5 people in front of me and said, they all have migraines, it's not like, okay, everyone, you take Motrin, everyone take Motrin. It's so individualized, because one person might like to lay down and have a cold compress. Another one said, I really need to sit up and I need to be having heat on me. And then another one would say, I'm ravenous when I have a headache. I just feel like I have to eat everything. And another one, believe it or not, says, I want to go for a run when I have a headache. It just makes me feel better. Exercise makes me feel better. So like each person, exhibits illness and symptoms so differently. And homeopathy can accommodate that when you know what you're looking for.
Beautiful. So cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people here, especially how you described what we maybe will call like ultra dilutions, and they think, well, isn't this just placebo, like the taking advantage of the positive side of placebo effect? What's your response to that?
Well, we homeopaths already, it's a very common thing. So if you think about it, certainly if you read anything about the placebo effect, even in conventional medicine, it's about a 33% rate of placebo. Okay. If someone believes that they're going to get well, 33% will. It's a great thing. I have treated people that don't believe in homeopathy, they get well. But what's more important is when we work with animals, when we work with infants and little children that don't know anything about what it is that they're being given, or in agriculture, there's such a thing as agro-homeopathy, and they're sprayed certain, substances depending on what the issues are, and they improve. So it's not placebo, especially in those cases. I do believe there may be some placebo, but I also know that with this energy medicine, it really doesn't matter, because it's energy. As long as the energy of the substance matches the energy of the person, we're good. Like cures like.
Okay, cool. Well, I think it's also important to remember that, I feel confident in saying that, like, the studies that Dr. Emoto did with water, in terms of how you can, just how you talk to water will change sort of how it crystallizes and the symmetry that those water crystals will make when you examine them under a microscope. So, I mean, it then stands to reason then by exposing that water to, like we used the arnica flower for the example earlier, then it will take that on, that energetic imprint, and then continue to perpetuate that through the dilution. So, I mean, to me, it makes sense. It doesn't sound woo-woo. It doesn't sound like placebo. It actually is a scientific process.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of, like, are you willing to accept this is actually a scientific process?
So, yeah, I'd have to say I find it it's thought-provoking and a little bit disturbing in a way when people come to me and I say, here's your remedy, this would be helpful for you. And they stop and they look really skeptical and they go, so what's in it? What's in it? And I'll tell them what it's made from or whatever. And, and I explain the process. I then ask them, I said, just curious, when your doctor gives you an antibiotic or they give you a prednisone, do you ask them what's in it? And they go, no, I don't. I'm like,
They should.
they should, but why are they so skeptical of something more natural where, I mean, I'm
Exactly.
glad that they're
Yeah,
asking, I get it, but
for
that
sure.
they don't question their medical doctor ever on any chemical or combination of chemicals that they're being given. I'm like, people need to be, shopping appropriately and be able to make the decisions appropriately based on
Yeah.
information, informed decision,
Yeah.
really.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The whole concept of informed consent is talk about dilution.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Anyway.
So true.
um,
Right.
so let's sort of move into now, like, we're curious, we've maybe bought a kit for home use, or we're, using something like your book, or we have a practitioner like yourself guiding us along. What do you see are like maybe like the missteps at the beginning, or like things that people maybe think that like they would normally do with like an antibiotic or even like a daily blood pressure pill, but would not apply to homeopathy in terms of like dose and like switching remedies, or like what are some of those things that you see?
Oh, there's a lot a lot, but nothing that's really tragic at all. So
Sure.
probably one of them is that people are afraid to give a remedy because they're afraid it's not correct. And I tell people, if you give a remedy 30C and under in potency, a 6, 12, or 30, and it's not the right remedy, and you've given it 3 or 4 times for whatever the duration would be, and it doesn't work, and it's not working, it's just not going to work. It's not like you've, toxified your liver with a bad chemical at all. It's not like that. It's energy medicine. The energy just didn't resonate with you. But then if you relook at the case and you go, okay, well, my next best remedy is this one. And then you give that remedy, and then the person starts to feel better. Then you know that you've done it. So it's understanding and trusting that it's okay to not give the right remedy all the time. You're going to try, because, so there's fine lines sometimes with some of them, and it's a learning process. I think another pitfall is that people think, you take 2 pills a day, no matter what. And it's like, there's dosing specifics with homeopathy. So for example, if you have, all right, I'll give 2 examples. One is you have food poisoning. Food poisoning is not good. It comes out, 2 exits, no waiting. You're like,
Right.
it's really bad, and you're getting dehydrated. So you have to know that, whatever remedy you choose, you have to give like every 10 to 15 minutes, maximum 3 or 4 times. And if you're not seeing any result, you've got to switch remedy. It's like that urgent that you give it that regularly. But if someone has like a flu and they're just like laid out on the couch and they're just feeling like woozy, they have a headache a little, they have a fever, a little cough, you can give a remedy every 3 or 4 hours and see how they do through the day, because it's not as urgent. And so in the homeopathy primer book, we talk about dosing. We have them in color levels: red, orange, blue, green, brown. And most of the time, red is like on the way to the hospital. You take the remedy kit with you, but go to the hospital. And then there's the orange, which is like the vomiting and diarrhea. And then there's the blue, which is like a flu, a cough, a cold. And once you understand that, that's key right there. And then to stop when the improvement is there.
Okay.
Just because you're feeling better doesn't mean you keep taking it. Whereas with conventional medicine, they're like, oh, just keep taking that medicine no matter what.
Yeah.
And no, you got to stop. You have to stop when you're better. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true. Like even with an antibiotic, keep taking it all the way through until you feel better. There's a very good reason we tell people that, but
sure. And so it's a different animal. We're talking about 2 different animals here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I mean, but like you could say the same thing like for an SSRI or something, though. Like that would be another example that is a completely different reason than for an antibiotic. But anyway,
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
So I think it's important too. So to just point out that you must see this as like fitting in with different approaches to health and well-being. So it's not just homeopathy and nothing else, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
So it's okay to, meld it and merge it with other things too.
Yeah. And I here's my secret wish is that even the conventional medicine world would meld with homeopathy. I think, because there's the complementary. We are complementary. We really are. There are times that somebody does need to have a medication,
Sure.
a chemical medication for sure. But they don't look at us in that way, but we look at them that way.
I think that's important to point out for people. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're not anti, conventional medicine, but we do believe that the less that you have, the more healthy you could be, if you can be that way. So
yeah. So we talked a little bit about some chronic conditions, but maybe let's talk about things like chronic fatigue or like RA, some of those more like serious chronic conditions that are very impactful on people's lives in terms of just how they're able to function. How can and again, I understand that this is very personalized, so it would be very much dependent upon how they present in front of you and what their main complaints are. But how would you approach something like that, if you don't mind my asking? Or tell me if I ask something that's too specific.
No, I mean, I can, I'll do my best. Sure. So if somebody comes with those kinds of conditions or, autoimmune issues, anything like that, I do the timeline, because a lot of times there's a cause. There's something that flipped the switch with somebody. I said, so when did you get on that SSRI, or when did you start that anti-anxiety med, or when did you take the famotidine, or, for your stomach, or like what was going on in your life at that time? And if I can come up with a mental emotional reason that their body is exhibiting this type of symptom, then I have a better chance of finding a remedy. Okay, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that we do see that. Like, and again, I use migraines just because it's a pretty common one. But I had a woman come to me. She was 36 years old. Migraines, like at least two a month. And she's had them since she was 12. So the question I always want to ask, and I get to it in the interview, is, so tell me what was happening in your life when you were 12, if you remember. And she said to me, I don't know. I was in school, blah, blah. And she, my grandmother died. And I said to her, what was your relationship with your grandmother? She was my world. She was like my best friend. And I miss her. I even miss her now, and you can even see a little tear perhaps coming from the client's face. And so immediately I'm looking for grief remedies for her. Grief remedies that match her head symptoms.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So there's emotional remedies as well. Oh, okay, cool. Let's talk more about that, because I'm, of course, just thinking, like the migraine, the sinus infection, like, whatever, all those, like, I guess, Western medicine diagnoses are floating through my head. So,
right. And we don't need a diagnosis. That's the good thing with homeopathy. We don't need a diagnosis. We just need the symptoms.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Well,
and that's kind of similar to functional medicine too. When I mentor other pharmacists, and they're often worried about, well, I'm not allowed to quote unquote practice medicine. And I tell them, like, well, you're not practicing medicine according to the way the law defines it. People are already coming to us as functional medicine practitioners with diagnoses from their allopathic physician. Right. We're here to uncover that root cause. And I would say homeopathy sounds very similar to that. Like, we don't care what your diagnosis is. We want to know about, again, what you said, symptoms. And then, of course, functional medicine goes down a different path. But sorry, keep going. I interrupted you.
I love this. I love that you and I are in sync in this. You like, I'm loving this. This is great. So another thing that I look for are the things in their timeline that have been imprinted on them. So not all homeopaths do this method that I have come to learn over the past 4 years. It's called human chemistry. And so I use homeopathy in the way that I was taught, and I look for what we call the constitutional remedy, that one remedy for the person for all of their symptoms and all their mental, emotional stuff. And at the same time, I work on trying to de-imprint, using homeopathic remedies, things that could have been imprinted on their system. For example, women especially a lot of them have taken birth control pills, and for rightful reasons, but ultimately it has kind of messed up their endocrine systems.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so by de-imprinting birth control pills using homeopathic medicine, it helps to right the endocrine system.
Oh, cool. So I love that. Yeah.
It's a different way. It's a different approach. Not all homeopaths do this, but I'm finding it really, really cool and very useful.
Yeah, birth control is one of those conundrums where I am so grateful for it, and I'm so happy that it's out there and available, and so many, it's so many women can have that autonomy of choice in their life. But yeah, it wreaks havoc on our endocrine systems for sure. And we start it so young these days, so young, and we are on it for so long. So long.
Right.
So yeah, it's like I said, it's a conundrum. So I love that there is this approach that so you don't have to necessarily release the birth control if you don't want to as a woman, but you can still help rebalance your system. Yeah.
So a person would to really do the rebalancing, it would be after they're not on birth control anymore, because that you're trying to de-imprint something that's currently being imprinted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So ideally you would release it.
You would release it. You'd want for birth control. But like there's very commonly is, people have had a lot of antibiotics in their life, which is also an effect on their microbiome. And their microbiome obviously is the seat of health. And so if we can help with that piece, then we do using a remedy called polyantibiotics. So those are not available for the regular public. And know that this kit that I'm talking about is like what we call, let's just get started doing homeopathy at home. You don't have to do the complicated stuff that I do, but I just want people to know about it and to say the word homeopathy and to be able to feel like they could treat themselves at home if needed for little things,
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, Mike.
Oh, I can't.
Okay,
what is it? What is it?
Right. Oh, my cat was trying to jump up on the back of the piano. She completely fell off.
Oh, is she okay?
Yeah, she's fine. But then the dogs are like, "Oh, cat on the ground!" Rah.
Oh, I can't hear any of it. Can't hear any of it.
Beautiful. Anyway, so, but I think I would imagine then there's probably, talking about this imprint concept, one could maybe also say the same thing for a variety of mental health medications. Like I think a lot of people go through periods in their life and they're put on antidepressants, SSRIs, SNRIs, different things, maybe benzos for anxiety, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they feel like, okay, well, I'm not in that period. I'm ready to move on. I don't necessarily feel like this is appropriate for me anymore. They want help getting off. Is there a homeopathic remedy to also help with that? What I'm going to call it an imprint because you use that word. Is that an appropriate way to use that word?
That's how I call it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so there is a methodology that is being used to help people as long as they're in touch with their medical doctor.
Right, exactly.
The one that is prescribed the medication has to know that the person is looking to wean slowly down. But slow is really, really, really important. And there's no rush to do it. But there are homeopathic remedies, like we have Wellbutrin or I can't think of the other ones. The SSRIs that we have them in homeopathic form, so we can give them in a dropper form. So this way they take their medicine, it's being slowly weaned down, but they get the homeopathic version every day, which helps and aids the body as it slowly weans down. And so depending on how long they've been on it is how long they're going to wean down.
Yeah, beautiful. And I've done this with physicians too, like so that, oftentimes, even in the hospital environment, physicians will contact the pharmacist and ask questions like, oh, okay, this client or this patient actually does want to, and they're ready. Could you help me figure out how to help them start weaning off? And, so yes, absolutely. You never want to do this on your own. Always do it medically supervised, for sure. But it's lovely and encouraging to know that there is also another support mechanism through homeopathy that can also help. I love knowing that. Yeah. Not only, for future clients I might come across, but also I'm sure our listeners will feel much comfort in hearing that this is out there and available.
Yeah, it definitely is. Not every practitioner knows about it, but there's definitely more and more that are slowly but surely. Here in the States, definitely more over in the Netherlands, which is where it came from, and over in Europe. But definitely here, there's more and more people that are using it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think that's also maybe something helpful to point out or maybe outline like where, and obviously we've already talked about some of them, like where is the line between toe dabbling for home use versus having that homeopathic practitioner to guide you through different pathways?
So where I started was with my son going to this homeopath. And then after a few years, I said, you know what? I want to get treated homeopathically. I want to see what this is all about myself. And so I got myself a homeopath. I started with the guy that was working with my son, and then he ended up going out of business, or just, you know, he was retiring. So I had to find someone else, and I found someone else, and I worked with her for me and my family together chronically for chronic stuff. And that's when I also started to learn about it acutely on my own. So if somebody just wants to learn it acutely, you can. A lot of people, though, once they start it and they go, you know what, I've had, I don't know, herpes infections my whole life, and I really want to do something about that. And so then they start working with a homeopath, or they've had hypothyroid or hyperthyroid and they want some help. Or, you know, they come up with some chronic thing that they're just tired of, and they would like some homeopathic help. Then they get chronic treatment at the same time.
Okay.
So it's a way to know, you know, whether you just
exactly
for yourself, or if you're healthy and you don't need to work with a homeopath, then you don't.
Yeah,
You know?
I love that. Yeah. So let's move into your book.
Oh,
and
great.
I also am curious about the groups you were talking about, the study groups, I think you said. So tell us about both of those things.
Oh, I would love to. This book was made with 35 other contributors. It's called Homeopathy Primer, Getting Started with Homeopathy. And it's like a homeopathic medical textbook. There are a lot of great beginner books. And I'll tell you, my first beginner book was Homeopathy for Infants and Children by Dana Ullman. It was like my Bible when my kids were little, taught me so much about homeopathy. And so I know there's some really great books out there. And so the goal of this book was really to be like a one-stop shop for people. And so, like, let's say, I don't know, you have period pain. So there are 100 of these comparison charts in here. And so here for menstruation issues, there are 5 remedies that are listed here. We can have up to 7 in a chart. And most of the remedies are based on this 30-seed kit for the most part. But there's a total of 128 remedies mentioned in the book. So there's just so much in here. And we include things like, you know, when do you know it's an emergency? When do you have to go to the hospital? Or when should you get healthcare, go to your healthcare professional?
Right.
Or what are some other supportive things you can do for like a UTI or for fevers, you know, just other naturopathic, holistic things. Because so many people are not medically trained, and they just know they have this thing. And so what we tried to do is to try to walk people through symptoms and to understand when it's serious, when you need a doctor, when you can just do stuff at home, and the remedies that you could choose.
I love this too, because it sounds really empowering. And that is one of the reasons I started this whole adventure of podcasting was because I wanted to empower people to take control of their own health. Yeah. I mean, I am very grateful for allopathic medicine, and especially, you know, with my career within that field.
Yeah.
However, I have seen such it seems in some ways so disempowering with the dynamic of, you know, the way patients are told, you know, like, just do what your doctor says. Again, like that whole concept of informed consent has, to me, like really sort of gone out the window since around, you know, the time of the pandemic, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. But still, like, I just feel like people are yearning for more information. They want to feel like they have more control and more autonomy. And why not? So let's give them that. Let's give them tools. Let's teach them in things like your book and other, you know, books out there that make things approachable and understandable at the layman level. So you don't have to have, you know, a degree in medicine or advanced chemistry or whatever in order to understand it. So, well, thank you for writing the book. That's amazing. I'm excited to get my hands on it too, actually.
So it was me and 35 other contributors that put it all. So it was me and other homeopaths, student homeopaths, and experienced home users that all contributed content to this book. And then it was mostly my doing with an assistant that put it together in this format. And so I'm the voice of the book, but there were so many other people that were involved, which is great because it wasn't just my brain in there. There's a lot of other people. And I learned so much from doing this project. I've learned how to be a really good acute prescriber. It's really cool. Very cool.
Cool. And so then you talked about these small groups that you're doing within that context. So what is that? What does that look like?
So I currently am running 3 study groups. I have one that's a beginner group. We've met twice and we're just starting about, what's homeopathy or how to do clams, that kind of thing. And then I have another group that's in their second year. We've already done the first year and we're continuing and learning different sections of the book and learning more remedies. And then I have another group that's like a 6-year group. It's amazing. And it's the advanced group and they're fantastic. And we work with a software program and we, it's different high level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but on the website, homeopathyprimer.com, we have now under resources, study groups, and any of the people who are interested or are doing study groups online or in person, I've listed them on the website. I just want them to be there so people can contact them if they want to learn from them. They want to check out who they are, if they want to join a group. So I hope people will go to the website and look for study groups, a study group to join. Some of them are only 3 months long, mine are a full year long. Everybody does it differently. And so, sometimes it helps to be in a group for sure.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, community discussions, again, like feeling like you're not alone and navigating this all out there by yourself. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's nice. And then the stories that we tell, what I have people do in the beginning of every class is I say, so what are your questions and what are your stories? Meaning, did you use a remedy this month? Please tell us why. What was the reason you gave it? What remedy did you give? Did it work? Did it not work? So everybody learns from stories. It's not just here are remedies, let's try them. It's more like, here's the story that goes with it. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. And I would say actually, allopathic and Western medicine does that too. They just call them case studies.
Case studies. Yes, right. Case studies.
And I always say that because I also feel like we need to build these bridges. Like you said, like from your perspective, homeopathy accepts them, but it might not be the same in reverse. So I think it's important to, like, if we can build these bridges between these modalities, then we can really start helping people on so many different levels and really, have true health and wellness.
Yeah.
And not just a, like an abstract concept of, well, what does that even mean? Like actually have it and be living it. Isn't that the dream?
Yeah. I love it. That's great. Yeah. I'm with you 100%.
So we're coming to the end of our time here. Is there anything that we haven't talked about or any concepts that you want to bring forward before we wrap up?
So if there are people who are listening that want to just dip their toe, if they do go to homeopathyprimer.com, there is a pop-up that says join our community. If you give us your email, you join the community, we send you the clams document, which is basically chapter 2 of the book for free. We also send you a $20 off coupon for the book. So if you just are like, I want to dip my toe in this, I just want to see the clams, I want to just get the emails from them, please do that, because we love to just get people into the community and say, here, this is what's going on. Here, we're doing a free webinar called Tea with a Homeopath. Why don't you join us? Like that kind of stuff. So
beautiful.
I'm hoping that people will do that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. And then are there any like social media platforms that you want to drive people to, or is it?
So I have a wonderful guy. I'm not great on social media, but I do have a wonderful guy that is helping me do it. So we are on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok.
Oh, so yes.
Please, Homeopathy Primer is the channel. Homeopathy Primer.
Beautiful. Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and all the work that you're putting out into the world. I am super appreciative, and it sounds like you're helping a lot of people, and the sky's the limit on how many more. I think the impact possibilities are very widespread. So
and thank you for your work, and thank you for letting me share mine on your platform. I appreciate it.
For sure. Yes. All right, everyone. We'll head on over to homeopathyprimer.com. Check it out. Check the book out. If you're interested, sign up for one of the teaching groups or even just like to dip your toe in, maybe. And then if you're driving, then and you don't worry, these links will live on my show notes page, which is drlaramay.com/podcasts. And just look for Abby's name and or homeopathy. I'm sure that you can type in what you're looking for and the episodes pop right up for you for show notes. So anyway, well, thank you everyone. And we will catch you on the next episode. Thank you for joining me on Light Body Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration, energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.